My name is Lancy Cheng, and I'm in Newfoundland. I'm an expedition guide with the Hurtigruten Expeditions, and so today it's a good opportunity for me to share my birding experience in polar regions. I had been thinking, so what I should do for this webinar. So at first I thought I'm going to introduce the bird species in those areas, and then I realized that that's probably not what you want to see, because you don't want to hear me to read field guide. So I decided to bring you with me for my journeys to polar regions. So please fasten your seatbelt. We are about to take off. So there are two polar regions on Earth. One on north, the Arctic. The other is on the south, the Antarctica. So first, we are heading to the summer of 2019 to go birding under the midnight sun in the Arctic. So my trip starts from northern Norway and heading to Svalbard, and then eastern Greenland, and ending in Iceland. So the trip started in a city called Tromsø in northern Norway. It's a beautiful city. It's not big, but it's super beautiful. So it's easy to walk around here. And in Tromsø, I would recommend one place for birding. It's called Prestvenet. I really need to practice my Norwegian. But anyway, this is a birding hotspot, and you can find it on eBird. And Tromsø, and over here is your last chance to see modern civilization and decent number of woodland birds for a while, because after this, we are heading to the remote locations in high Arctic. So in Prestvenet, this is a small lake located in the height spot in this part of the city, and you can see birds like old world warbler, like willow warbler. You can see hooded crow, you see magpie, and you see finches, like a common chaffinch, like a brambling, like a common redpoll. And of course, you see house sparrow, which you can see in 6 different continents. And by the lake, you see some shorebirds like this endemic stink, and you see white wagtail, and you see dabbling ducks like Eurasian widgeon, and of course mallard, and diving ducks like tufted ducks. And green heron, this is a common species in Europe and in Asia, but is a dream bird in North America. There are totally maybe up to a dozen records in North America, and half of them were in my backyard. I mean, Newfoundland. And red-throated loon is breeding in Tromsø in Prestvenet. And in summer, there lots of them, and they put quite a show, and it's hard to miss them because they're just so loud. And from Prestvenet, and you can take short walk to downtown, to the harbor. And over there, you can see some birds like Eurasian oyster catchers. And over there, they're pretty tame, and they're not afraid of people, so you can get pretty close. And sometimes you see the birds with chicks. And for me, my favorite birds are always gulls, because I spend most of the time with gulls, especially in winter. So like every winter, I may find 1 or 2 European herring gulls among thousands of American herring gulls. And now I'm in Tromsø, and they're okay. Derek, I hear someone's typing or something.
Apologies, it's me. I had myself unmuted.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah. Okay, now I'm in Tromsø, and there are so many European herring gulls right in front of me. So the adult has slightly darker back and more white on their wingtips than American herring gull. And there are also different ages of the European herring gulls. So I was just like a kid in candy shop. I was super excited. So please stop me. Otherwise, I'm going to be talking about herring gull for hours. So let's change subject and talk about another gull, which is common gull. So common gull is breeding in Tromsø, and Some of them are banded. I saw 5 banded common gull there, and I was in touch with the bander, Morten Helber. I hope I pronounced your name right. I was told that most common gulls in Tromsø spend their winter in English Isles. And I found 2 of the banded common gull I found are interesting. The first one, it was banded in Tromsø, but also seen in winter months in Stavanger. So that could be the winter ground for this bird. And the second bird was banded in Tromsø, but seen in late fall in Bergen and early spring in Stavanger. So that's probably this bird being on the way to and from the wintering ground. A third gull is black-legged kittiwake. Black-legged kittiwake is what we call the true seagull because they spend their winter in the ocean, and in the breeding season, they build their nest at the cliff and get food from the sea. So you don't see kittiwake tossing your garbage bins or standing in the parking lot in McDonald's asking for fresh fry. And I've seen kittiwakes in different places, but Tromsø is the only place where I saw them build their nests on man-made buildings. So in other places, all in the natural environment. And once we left Tromsø and we head into the remote locations in high Arctic, normally you don't see herring gull or common gull, but you still see a lot of black-legged kittiwake, and they are flying around your ship. And also, if you go to the breeding locations like Bear Island, this is the most southern island of Svalbard, and it's also an important bird area identified by BirdLife International. So you see shorebirds, seabirds over here. And so if you do the small boat cruising, like showing in this photo, and you get a chance to see black-legged kittiwake nest on cliff. And the second common gull species in the high Arctic is Glaxgull. So Glaxgull has, the adult Glaxgull has a pale gray back and white wing tip. Glaxgull is bulky. They're much bigger than kittiwake, much bigger than common gull, even bigger than herring gull. Actually, they are the second largest gull in the world. And I saw in the photograph this Glaxgull in Longyearbyen, and you can see this bird is also banded. It was banded in Longyearbyen in 2011, and seen in this location for several years, but all of them are in summer. So we know this bird is probably breed in Longyearbyen, but we don't know where it spends its winter. Glaxgull is not as numerous as kittiwake, but they're still pretty common. Like you see them standing on top of the iceberg or hanging out with the group of walrus. Just friendly reminder that when everybody enjoys walrus, you better stop talking about Glaxgull. Lesson learned. And the third expected gull species in high Arctic is polar bear. No, not polar bear, but the gull following polar bear. So if you are lucky, you see polar bear up close like this, or they might be a little bit further. But anyway, seeing a polar bear is always exciting. However, as a birder, we never be satisfied if we only see a polar bear. When we see a polar bear, especially a polar bear with meal, we always look for ivory gull. So ivory gull, I know not everybody likes gulls, but everyone loves ivory gull. This is the pure spirit of high Arctic, and it's probably the most wanted gull species by birders in North America. But unfortunately, this species suffered a huge population decline in the past few decades and lost up to 60 or 80% of the whole population. And I met a guest on board who was a researcher in Svalbard 40 years ago. And we had a good chat about everything, of course, about birds. And he told me that 40 years ago in Svalbard, the land was covered with ivory gull. Unfortunately, not anymore. Now, you can count yourself lucky if you find one ivory gull, but Still, there's a trick how to find ivory gull. Ivory gull follows polar bear because they love to eat meat. So they want to get a share from the polar bear, but polar bears are not easy to see. And so another place to find meat is dog pen. So dogs in Arctic are not pet. So if you're in Arctic, you need to ask permission before you want to pet a dog. Otherwise, you may never use the same hand to pet any dog. So this dog eat meat. That's why ivory gull would come to the dog pen to get some meat. And if you check those eBird records of ivory gull, and then you read the field notes, and you realize that some of them are found near dog pen. So that's enough for gulls. Let's move on to another group of birds. A popular question in the Arctic is, are there penguins in Arctic? And we know the answer is no, but some people would say, oh, well, I saw a bird, it looks like a penguin, but it can fly. Okay, that's not penguin. That's something, maybe one of those species belong to the group of birds called auks if you are in Europe, or alces if you're in North America. So BBC even made a flying penguin hoax for April Fool's Day, and they made the flying daily, and the flying pattern were made based on the flying pattern of auks or alces. So this photo show common moors. You can see they look like penguin, and they stand or they sit like penguin, and they even swim like penguin underwater. So both penguins and the moors are called what they call wing-propelled swimmers. So that means when they swim underwater, they use their wings. So for moors or for alces or auks, their wings are dual function for both swimming and flying. So it's just like a lot of multifunctional tools. They might be okay for everything, but they're not excellent for anything. So that's the wing of the moor or other auks. So if you see they're in flight, they're far from elegant. So they have to flip the wing constantly. So we can see the flying pattern of auks are awkward. And one fun fact of common moor is the shape of their eggs. Their eggs are pear-shaped, like here, like these two show in this photo. That comes with an advantage because common moor build their nest on cliff. And when their nest rolling, the egg only roll within a small circle. So the eggs won't fall off the cliff. And other species in this group include like thick-bill moor, razorbill, Atlantic puffin, and also black guillemot. So the black guillemot in Arctic is interesting because there are 5 different subspecies of black guillemot, and the high Arctic subspecies have larger white wing patch in breeding season, and in non-breeding plumage, they are much wider than other subspecies. So just like we can see in this comparison photo taken by Alvin Buckley. And the smallest auk is called a little auk in Europe and Dovekie in North America. They are everywhere. They are probably the most abundant birds I've seen in the Arctic. And they swim in water, they dive, they flying around, and it's easy to identify them because they're tiny. They flying like a bumblebee, and also their flying pattern also awkward. And other than auks, another common bird species in the Arctic is northern fulmar. There are 2 different morphs of northern fulmar. Dark morph is evenly gray, and the light morph has white head and white belly and gray back. So they superficially resemble gulls. But there's a trick to identify them from gulls in flight because their wings are stiff. It's not like the soft wing gulls. Other breeding species in Arctic include like some shorebirds, like common ring plover, purple sandpiper, two adder species, common adder and the king adder, Arctic tern, northern gannet, northern wheat ear. If you go landing, you see them, and parasitic jaeger, long-tailed jaeger, great skua, and pink-footed goose. So if you watch the movie Big Ear, you know pink-footed goose is the star of that movie. But during my trip, the star is not pink-footed goose, but another goose species, barnacle goose. And I have two amazing encounters with barnacle goose. The first one was in New Aleson. So in New Aleson, there are up to 20 different research stations of different countries. So over there, you have to turn off your cell phone to make sure that you don't interfere there with their research. And then there's a statue of the Norwegian explorer Roald Amundsen. And Roald Amundsen's mooring mast. And this is where Roald Amundsen started his trip flying to the North Pole in the very first time in human history. And you see the most northern post office here, and you see Arctic fox carrying transmitter, and also you see barnacle goose. A lot of them. They are breeding here, and they're super tame. They're not afraid of people, probably because they know that they're protected. So that's really easy to spot those banded individuals, and it's really easy to read the code on their band. And I recorded 11 different individuals, and they were all banded in New Aleson, but also seen in other places like mainland Norway, UK, and the oldest one was 17 years old. And my second amazing encounter with barnacle goose was in Longyearbyen, the capital of Svalbard. There are a university, museum, and a shop in Longyearbyen, and also there's the world most northern gas station, and there the world most northern taxi, and probably the world most northern French fry. But that's not what I'm here for. I'm here for this bird because I knew there was a white barnacle goose in Longyearbyen. And my ship arrived in Longyearbyen late in the evening, so I had to wait until the second morning to chase this bird. And we all have this kind of experience that if you really want to see someone, but you have to wait, and it's very hard for you even to sleep. So the night, I barely slept during the night. So, and in the morning, the first thing in the morning, I went to town and looking for this bird. And after checking several flocks of barnacle geese, I finally saw it. And this bird and its partner, they had two goslings. And but it's too early to tell if this gosling would be white or be the normal wild type. So mission accomplished. And I took some photos, and I was satisfied and headed back to my ship. Well, the problem was I didn't sleep much. On the way to chase this bird, that's fine because I was super excited. But on the way back, I started feeling the pain because I feel sleepy, I feel dizzy. I think I was probably walking like a zombie, just like a zombie, not a real zombie, because according to an urban legend, dying in Longyearbyen is illegal. And the last stop of my Arctic trip was in Stikisholmer, Iceland. It's a beautiful place, and I was glad to see more vegetation, much more than in the high Arctic. Not those tall trees, but a lot of bushes and more woodland birds. Like I saw redwing here, and I saw European starling, because European starling is an introduced species in North America, and then we see large flocks of them, like maybe thousands of them. But I was very happy to see this authentic version of European starling. And other birds like meadow pipit and white wagtail. And also there's a breeding colony of a lesser black gull, which I really wish I could have more time with, but yeah, I only have a half day there. But I got a really unique experience with eider there. Because eiders in North America are skittish because they are hunted for meat. But they're protected in Europe, so they're tame there. They're not afraid of people. So they build their nest with down. And after breeding season, people would come and to collect their down humanely and sustainably. So the eiders in skittish Homer are not skittish. And there is a, you look at the greenish house with the dark roof in the picture. So that is the Icelandic Eider Center. It's a museum where you can learn everything about eider. So that's all for the Arctic. Now we are heading to Antarctica. So my Antarctica trip started in December 14th, 2019. This is exactly the same date when Norwegian explorer Roald Amundsen arrived at the South Pole, the very first time in human history, 108 years ago. And my ship is named MS Roald Amundsen, so I feel I must be blessed. So the trip started from Chile, Punta Arenas, and we sailed across the famous Drake Passage and explored the Antarctic Peninsula. So I arrived in Punta Arenas late in the evening, and my trip started early in the morning, the second day. That means I had 1 hour before sunset and 1 hour after sunrise. As a birder, I would not waste these 2 hours. So I dropped everything I had in my hotel room, and then I rushed to the beach and started looking for birds. And I found 3 gull species here: dolphin gull, brown-hooded gull, and kelp gull. And I saw black-faced ibis, 2 common species, Magellanic and Imperial. I saw Chilean skua, I saw giant petrel, which I saw a lot more in Antarctica, and crested duck and steamer duck, and some passerines like a rufous-colored sparrow. That's a really good warm-up for the amazing trip. And then we started sailing across Drake Passage. Drake Passage is the most unpredictable water in the world. It could be Drake shape or Drake Lake, and anything in between. And we were lucky because it wasn't shaking us, but we got some peaceful Drake Lake and some waves. And in Drake Passage and the waters around the Antarctic Peninsula, this is the place you want to be, the back of the ship. Because seabirds like to follow the ship. The reason is when ship's sailing, the propeller will disturb the water and bring food and nutrient up to the surface for the seabirds. So over here, we saw albatross, we saw a fulmar, we saw petrels, we saw giant petrels, we saw storm petrels. The most common albatross species is black-browed albatross with this beautiful trademark black-browed. The majority of the black-browed albatross breed in Falkland. So if you sail near those waters, and you may see a large flock of them, like hundreds and thousands of black-browed albatross. Royal albatross and wandering albatross are bigger, so their wingspan may reach 3 meters. It may not be easy to tell the difference between southern royal albatross and northern royal albatross, or the 5 species, subspecies, group, whatever you call, of the wandering albatross. But the difference between royal albatross and wandering albatross are relatively easy to tell. And gray-headed albatross and the light-mantled albatross are uncommon. They're not as common as others. And also, they are not like the large wandering albatross or royal albatross. Wandering and the royal, when they come, they tend to stay a little longer, like few minutes or even longer. But gray-headed albatross and the light-mantled albatross, they just come and then they left. So if you want to see gray-headed albatross and light-mantled albatross, you really need to spend a decent amount of time on deck and try your best to look for them. And you may see like one or two during one crossing. Giant petrel, they are common and you see a lot of them. And they like to follow the ship and they really like to fly close to the ship and at your eye level. So you and the giant petrel just looking at each other's eyes. Giant petrels are normally personified as devils because they attack cute penguins. But if you get a chance to have the close encounter with giant petrel and really look into their eyes, you just feel that they are just gentle giant. Well, that's probably another type of personification. And there are two types of giant petrel, northern and southern. So the northern giant petrel had a red tip of the bill, and the southern giant petrel had a greenish bill tip. So that's probably the easiest way to tell them apart. And there is a white morph of a southern giant petrel, so it's a pure white. And I saw two during my trip, but I didn't get a good photo of them. And Cape petrel is a medium-sized petrel, and they're quite common. They're very common, and you may see them, the flock of 10, 20, or even more. And they like to fly close to the ship and fly at your eye level. And they have this beautiful black and white checkered pattern, and they are photographers' favorite. Southern fulmar is also common, and if you are what you call a lister, and you try to see all fulmar species in the world, it's not hard. You just go to Arctic and see the northern fulmar, and then you go to Antarctic, you see the southern fulmar, because there are only two fulmar species here in the world, and you can see them both. Prion identification could be a challenge, but not impossible. The common prion species in Antarctica are Antarctic prion and slender-billed prion. So the difference between these two species are Antarctic prion has thick bill and a thinner able or eye strip. Slender-billed prion has thinner bill and a wider eye strip or able. There's another species called blue petrel. Blue petrels also look similar to prion, but the difference is that the blue petrel have a white tail tip, and in prion, like we see in these photos, the tail tips are black. So that's different. And the storm petrels are small; they're tiny, like one can fit right in your hand. The two common storm petrel species are Wilson's storm petrel and the black-bellied storm petrel. Wilson's storm petrel has black belly. Black-bellied storm petrel has white belly. And then you may ask why the black-bellied storm petrel is called a black-bellied storm petrel. That's because there is a dark line in the center of their belly. There is another storm petrel species called white-bellied storm petrel, which has white belly and no dark line. So if you travel with expedition cruise ship, you would get a chance to go landing in Antarctica. Brown Bluff is one of the popular landing sites in Antarctica. It's a beautiful place, and you see lots of birds like a Adelie penguin. And also there's one bird species which is breeding here and is a lot of birds' dream. It's snow petrel. So their nests are high up there in the bluff, and it's not visible. But if you look up with binoculars, and you will see them flying around, like in this photo on the left. So one snow petrel chasing a South Polar skua away from their nest. So over there, you just look up. And one of my friends was joking that Brown Bluff is the place for the deadest joke. What's that? Snow petrel. And if you go snowboat cruising in or near Brown Bluff, and you also got a chance to see them, and they may be flying at your eye level like this one. And when I was in Brown Bluff, the iceberg A68 was there as well. This was then the world's largest iceberg. And yeah, at the beginning of this webinar, we knew that we have an audience from Trinidad and Tobago. The original size of this iceberg was larger than Trinidad and Tobago. So if you look at the thin white line across the horizon, so that's only a part of this large iceberg. So we're lucky to get a look of this huge one. And even better, because when we're watching the iceberg A68, I noticed a bird. Well, there are many different other birds around, but this bird is different. And as a bird, you always notice something different. So this is an Antarctic petrel. And this is the only one we've seen during the whole trip. So poor photo, but a great bird. So in Antarctica or in Drake Passage, one good opportunity to watch seabird is during the whale feeding. So if you look at this photo, you can see those round bubbles on water surface. Those are the feeding bubbles produced by humpback whale. So humpback whale produce multiple feeding bubbles and to build a wall so that the krill won't be able to escape, and then they will feed. So seabirds also take advantage of this event and they come to eat. So in this photo, you can see there are lots of southern fulmars, but there are also a skua and a gull, a kelp gull. And seabirds also take advantage of orca hunting event. So they come because orca apparently they hunt a bit of a larger prey, and then seabirds come for some leftover. There's the one exception, penguin. Penguin wouldn't come. If there are orcas around, like in this photo, in the red lower corner, you can see there's a dorsal fin of an orca. When orcas are around, no penguin would enter the water because they knew that if they do, they would be food. Okay, speaking of penguin, they are the symbolic birds of Antarctica. The three most common penguin species are gentoo penguin, Adelie penguin, and chinstrap penguin. Gentoo penguin is widely distributed not only in Antarctica but also in some warmer places like Falkland Island, and they build nest here. This is the part of the gentoo penguin colony in Yankee Harbor. The problem, not just for gentoo penguin but also for other penguins, the problem is your nest is close to your neighbors. And according to a research, penguin poop may fly as far as 1.34 meters. Because during the breeding season, the two parents, they take turns. So one parent stay at home taking care of their young, and then the other one go to ocean, get food, and then they switch. And one shift may last for a day. Just imagine you are under attack from your neighbor for the whole 24 hours. And by the end of the day, a lot of penguins just like this one. This is the image of a penguin who has been working from home for too long. So it just desperately needs a shower or a bath. So they can go to ocean or inner bay if it's available. So this is the one working from home, and the one working outside, the work is not easy either because getting food is hard. And if you look at the penguins who just jump out of the water, and if you look at the underside of their wings is pink. That's because even they swim in cold water, and because they have to swim hard and get food, and they feel hot. So their blood just concentrated on their under wing to help them to release the heat from their body. And after some time, and the color will change back to white again. Because penguins' life is so hard, and they just try to take a break whenever they can. They can sleep like this one. They sleep like never hatched from their egg, or they can sleep motionless, or even lifeless. So in Antarctica, one question I have been asked so many times was, when our guests see penguin like this, they would ask, is it alive or dead? And we just tell them that, oh, it's just sleeping. And because this question been asked so many times, and the answer just came naturally. And one day, I was asked the same question again, is it dead? So I said, no, it's sleeping, even before I looking at the penguin. And when I look at the penguin, and I saw a part of a penguin carcass, a pair of legs. So apparently they were pulling my legs. So not all penguin chicks growing spontaneously at the same time, same rate. So these two photos, I took these two photos in the same location at the same time. So you can see one family had a big kid, and the other family still inoculating their eggs. Okay, time for a celebrity. This bird, this gentle penguin with a reduced amount of melanin or black pigment was photographed by my teammate Sui. This bird was well known among people coming to Antarctica. Some people said, oh, that's Kevin, and others say, oh, that's Mike. Well, this bird had different names, but agree to disagree. Everyone loves the you don't know who. Adelie penguin only lives in Antarctica, not in other places. This is the part of the Adelie penguin colony in Brown Bluff. Like gentle penguin, Adelie penguin also lay 2 eggs and then get 2 chicks, and they may both survive or only one of them or none. Adelie penguin is smaller than gentle penguin and also smaller than chin-striped penguin, so it's the smallest of the 3. However, even the smallest, it has the biggest attitude. So you may find a video clip about a Adelie penguin rescued emperor penguin chicks from giant petrel on YouTube. And in Antarctica, I saw this situation several times. A single Adelie penguin standing on a piece of iceberg and screaming loud against our ship. Yeah, whenever I see this, it just reminds me of Don Quixote tilting at windmills, something like that. That's that kind of attitude. And again, here's a celebrity of a pale Adelie penguin with a reduced amount of melanin, photographed by, again, my teammate Sui. He's a really lucky guy. And chin-striped penguin, as far as I know, there are less known chin-striped penguin colonies in Antarctica than Gentoo or Adelie. There's one on a harbor here. Chin-striped penguin and Adelie penguin and Gentoo penguin, they all build their nests with rocks. So they may collect the rocks themselves, or they may steal from their neighbors. So it may end up ugly sometimes. Chin-striped penguin, if you don't have a chance to visit a chin-striped penguin colony, that doesn't mean you won't see a chin-striped penguin, because some lone birds may see here or there. And I saw this lonely chin-striped penguin in Yankee Harbor. I was super excited, not only because of the different species, but also this is a different morph. This bird, like we see here, is not black and white. It is brown and white. So also reduced melanin. So in Antarctica, you often see penguin walking on what we call a penguin highway between their nest and the ocean. So in this photo, you can see the dark line from the ocean all the way up to the top of the hill. That's penguin highway. So penguins nest are on top of the hill. And those tiny dark spots along the highway are penguins. So as we know that penguins don't have long legs. But they have to walk all the way up to feed their chicks and then come back to ocean again to get food and then climb up again every day. So that's tremendous work. So I enjoy my life with penguin, but I probably won't enjoy a penguin's life. And during a landing, I noticed a set of penguin footsteps. So I compared them with my rubber boots. And I realized that penguin footstep is shorter than my rubber boots. What that means? That means if I step on fluffy snow and then leave a hole there, and if a penguin fall into it, it's very hard for this penguin to get out. So that's why we don't leave hole in Antarctica for penguins to struggle. Oh, another species, well, lives in Antarctica, but it's hard to see, is emperor penguin, because unlike the three penguin species we mentioned, emperor penguin breed on ice. That means if you want to go to visit their breeding colony, you need to go there, but there are lots of ice, so it's really hard to sail there. And a friend of mine who luckily saw this emperor penguin and posted this photo to her Facebook page. And then I posted the one I saw to my page. Yeah, I didn't see a real one, but because this is the Christmas time, and I saw this real life-size emperor penguin in the store on board with lots of chicks. So other birds we may see around the penguin colonies are skuas, brown skua, South Polar skua, but there are also some hybrid between these two species. So they're there waiting for their chance to take eggs or chicks from penguin colony. Snow sheathbill is a scavenger. So they may take eggs or small chicks, but also they just eat anything with nutrient, even from penguin poop. And Antarctic shag is not a threat to penguin, but they may colonize with penguins. So in Antarctica, there's a special place called a Deception Island. This is an active volcano, so that the beach covered with the lava rocks. And if you dig a hole or two in the beach and then you feel the water temperature it's really hot, and maybe up to 70 degrees Celsius. And kelp gull breed in Deception Island. And the most exciting moment in Deception Island was when I saw a group of tern in non-breeding plumage. Why? Because I really want to see an Arctic tern in Antarctica. Because Arctic tern is known to have the longest migration between the Arctic and Antarctica. And because this is what we call the austral summer in Antarctica, so I assume that Antarctic tern should be in breeding plumage and Arctic tern should be in non-breeding plumage. If I see non-breeding plumage tern, and it will be a good chance to see Arctic tern. But unfortunately, all of these are just Antarctic terns. So I didn't see, a colleague of mine and we spent a few weeks just studying these photos, not just this photo, but he also took a lot of photos, but all of them turned out to be Antarctic tern, but there's always next time. So next trip, my biggest goals are emperor penguin and Arctic tern, hopefully just in a few months this season. So this is me sitting on the beach in Deception Island with a chinstrap penguin in the background. And if you're interested in these journeys, and you can look into the website of Hurtigruten Expeditions, and there is a 93 days pole-to-pole adventure you can take. And of course, you can take just a part of different parts of this adventure. And I hope to see you all on board. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Lancy. This was a really, really interesting presentation, and I'm dying to go on one of those trips. Hopefully one day. Hopefully one day.
One day.
I have this problem. Although I'm a marine biologist, I get seasick. So
you can take some pills. Yeah.
Are there any questions? Jenny says, thanks for a great presentation.
Oh, you're welcome.
Leo says, what a fantastic presentation. Anybody got any questions for Lancy? We have to have at least one. I see you still worked in the gulls, eh?
Oh, wow. That's my obsession. That's my addiction. I just can't get rid of it.
Jalaluddin Khan is asking, what are the skills to be a birding guide?
If you know birds and you love birds and you have the spirit, then you could be a birding guide. The most important thing is you love birds.
Yeah, I think passion is
for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, yeah, for me is that from this job, the biggest benefit of this job is I get the chance to go birding. So if you have shared the same passion with me, then you could be a birding guide. Is Hurtigruten doing this tour this winter? Yes, we're planning the Antarctic trip for this season, and we're still waiting for, because we need to start from the gateway country in Chile or in Argentina. It need to be confirmed, but we're planning that. So you can check the Hurtigruten website. There will be update soon.
Leo is asking, what is the life breeding of the Arctic tern?
Life breeding.
I'm not sure what it means, but maybe it's migration and where does it breed, and I don't know. Leo, can you clarify? Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, Arctic tern breeding, actually breeding in my backyard in Newfoundland. Well, the Arctic tern breed in Arctic and then some North Atlantic and those cold waters, and then in winter, in our winter, they migrate to the south. Not all of them to Antarctica, but some of them do. Because I remember there's a research, some researchers put some transmitters on Arctic tern in Greenland, and then they found they migrated to the water just east of the Antarctic Peninsula.
What species amazed you the most? From Samuel.
Gulls.
Well, of course.
Yeah, well, actually, there are two gull species. One is herring gull, because there are just so many subspecies, races, groups all over the world. So they have the subtle difference. So you really need to pay attention to tell the difference and to tell where this gull is from. So that's amazing. And another is Iceland gull, because I'm here. I live in St. John's in Newfoundland. This is what people call the capital of Kumlin Iceland gulls. So because I'm here, I have an advantage. So in winter, I just walk out there, and then thousands of gulls waiting for me. So yeah, gulls, definitely.
Most guys look for gulls with an R in the word, but Lancy, he looks for gulls without the R. Thank you for there's lots of thank yous. Thank you for the humor as well. What's the best bird identification field guide for the polar birds?
The polar birds, oh, I think there are two questions. Okay, I will answer the bird question first. So for Arctic, because this is the European part of Arctic, the best guide will be Collins Bird Guide for Europe. And for Antarctic, there's an amazing book. It's called Bird of Chile, written by Alvaro. It's called Bird of Chile, but also include birds in Antarctica and in Falkland and in South Georgia. It's a small book, only like 200 pages or something, and it's really easy to carry. But it basically covers everything you need for a trip. So I would highly recommend that book because I have that book. But if you go with the expedition cruise ship, and because the difference between expedition cruise ship and other cruise ship is expedition cruise ship normally they have a science center or library, so you can also have book to check over there. So these are the two books I would recommend. And I think someone asking about my always do a trip 93 days. No, not always 93 days. As a expedition guide, we can have ships on and off. So for me and for some of my colleagues, we do full time will be roughly 4 or 6 weeks on and then 6 weeks off to do the shift. And then we also have contractor come here on short-term base. So not always 93 days, but if you want, you can apply. Interesting goals. We got a future webinar for goals of the world. It will be harder for gulls of the world because there are 53 gull species in the world, and I'm familiar with the gulls in Eastern North America because I'm here, and I know some of the gulls in Asia and some of the gulls in Europe, but it's very hard to do the whole world because because gull identification is complicated. Especially the 4 years gull, they take 4 years to reach the adult stage, and then their geological variation, their different plumage. So that's why galling is so amazing. It's just so complicated, and I might be able to do a topic focusing on the species I'm familiar with, like over here, but to do the gull of the world would be hard. And again, North America it's a Eastern or Western. That's another, yeah. Western is another world because the hybrid over there is just chaos. Like in some areas, it's very hard to see a pure galaxy wind or pure Western gull. There's all those kind of, they call it Olympic gulls. Actually, is the hybrid between these two species. Is the ship stable on the high sea? Yes, because my ship, the Rod Amundsen, is the new ship. It's a new hybrid power ship. It was built in the first voyage was in 2019. So there's stable. There's what they call the stablers over there. So for me, I don't feel anything sometimes because I remember one day when we were in Deception Island, I think. And then the ship was just there and even not anchored. And then one of my colleagues just pointed the ship, say, "How badass is that?" Because without using anchor, the ship is just there. But of course, in high sea, especially in Drake Passage, it's unpredictable. If it's a Drake shake, like a lot of wave, the ship will shake. But in generally speaking, the ship is stable for me at least. Because I don't have seasick, so yeah, it's probably I'm not the best person to judge that, but I would say my ship is pretty stable, relatively speaking.
Okay, it seems like we've run out of questions. Are there any last questions for Lancy before we close down for the day?
Yeah, stabilizers. Yeah, because the ship's new and my ship's Rod Amundsen, and they're also Philip Nansen is the sister ship, the first voyage in 2020. So these two are the new ships with the hybrid power. So if we sailing in, say, those places, like there are lots of whales around, and we want to sail silently, we just use hybrid power, use electricity. We don't use gas. So the ship just sailing almost without noise.
That's pretty amazing.
Contact info of my contact info, or
I think the previous person also asked where can they get more information on the trip. Maybe post the link for the tour company.
Oh yeah, I will just get that.
Pop it in the chat.
Yeah, herd routing expectations. This is the company's website, and if you click that, you get two parts, because the company have two departments, expeditions and the Norwegian coastal, and so you can just check both. Oh, my contact information. Yeah, I can give you an email. And let me see. And any gull you haven't seen yet and have in your wish list? Yes, Pallas gull. Because originally I'm from China, and I know that Pallas gull breeding in west part of China, and I haven't been there yet. But what I really want is to find a immature Pallas gull in Newfoundland in winter. That would be amazing. That won't be the first record for North America, because there was one in Alaska, but I really want to find one and to add one new gull species to Newfoundland bird list. Thank you. Any tips on how to key gull field marks? Yeah, again, gull identification is complicated, and there is a book called Simplified Gull Identification. I haven't read that. I have 3 gull books. One is the Gulls of Europe, Asia, North America, and the other is called the Gulls of Americas. But they're both big books, like 500 or 600 pages. For gulls, if you're looking for some shortcut, I can recommend a website. It's called Gull Research Organization. Give me 1 second. So in this website, so if you click the website, and on the left panel, you see different species name. If you click that, you get to see photos of the same species at different ages, different month of the year, and those kind of things. So that's, yeah, I think that's a good place to start from. And there are also some references you can read. Yeah, I didn't put my contact information to the public, but if you want, you can just either raise your hand or something. I can send you privately, because I got a lot of spam to my email, so I'm kind of nervous to put it in the public. But if you want it, you can just say hi, I want it, and I'll send you privately.
Okay, I think it's time for us to call it a day. Really great presentation, Lancy. Really appreciate it very much, and thanks everybody for attending. And hopefully, please keep checking on Learn the Birds and see what's coming up next. And we will take you all over the world. Thanks very much, Lancy, and goodbye, everybody.
Thank you very much.